So now you're depressed because you saw somebody take a picture in Ibiza and you thought, this person's 18. I'm 35. How are they at Ibiza and I'm not? Right? You see people jet setting, you see people catching flights, not feelings. You see people, eating out in places that you want to eat, I guess, and you can't afford. And now you're looking at your lifestyle and you're looking at their lifestyle and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? So then what it does with your dopamine, it dips. So now you spiral more into depression.
Hey guys, this is Anesu, aka Nyati Shonga.
Hello, my name is Chido, aka Chizzy.
Wagwan, Advocate Amanda here.
Hi everyone, this is Kuda, aka Cooks. Hi, and welcome to As Told by Us, the podcast. This is a weekly podcast where 4 professional millennials discuss living in Zimbabwe and trying to figure life out.
Someone once told us the grass is much greener on the other side.
But from where we're standing, our grass is green. Subscribe, like, share, comment down below.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to As Told by Us. We're in the beautiful month of August, and one of us is going to be turning the big 30.
None of us are turning 30. Forever young. That's how I'm going. Forever young. Fabulous. Honestly. Anyway, welcome guys to another episode. We missed you at the last.
I missed you guys.
At the last one.
I missed you too.
What were you? Where were you? Sleeping?
I was.
Okay. Guys, can you take days off?
Days off?
I need to take days off because Chido took a day off. No. Chido took a day off. We must get a leave day.
One leave day.
We all have a leave day.
Okay, so I took my leave day for the year.
Okay, so Anes and I went out yesterday. Right. And there was this girl. She was a real baddie. I will put it like that. She really was. And she was with a group of friends. You could tell that they had just come to have a good time. Mm-hmm. As the honeys, as the girlies. It was just supposed to be there. Right? But like I said, she was a fire chick. Right? So she's dancing. The times that I spotted her, so it happened twice. She was dancing with her girls, and then the one guy came. He was trying to dance with her, but I'm going in his defense. He didn't come close. You know how in a bar? Yeah, he was in the areas, but he was trying. I think he was waiting for an invite. He was. I don't want to say he was kind of respectful, but I don't know. But anyway, she obviously saw that that's what he was trying to do and she shut it down. Right. 5 minutes later, here comes another guy. Right. He's also trying. I get why they were trying. Like I said, the good sis was a very banging baddie. Right. I too would like to dance with her. However, it got me thinking that I remember in my going out days, particularly in uni, this would happen all the time, right? You're dancing, guys come, they start brushing up on you, and they want to dance with you, right? She was nice in the way that she rejected them, but in my mind, I'm just thinking, how many times it's happened to us? And if you are to meet a girl in a club, how are you to make your approach? But before y'all answer, I want Six to tell me, how does he do it? And then we will tell him if that's a good way of doing it or not.
Is this specifically in a club?
This is yes, in a club. He wants to dance
On the dance floor.
on the dance floor.
Okay. Interesting. 6?
What's a good way of approaching? Well, how do you do it, and then we'll tell you if it's good.
All right, so first I'll start with a disclaimer because I don't be in the club like that lately, but okay, I'll tackle this. First of all, I personally wait for an indicator that there's some sort of an invitation, a reciprocation of energy. So sometimes it's like, it might be just like, it starts off as like, if it's eye contact, I'm like, yo, she could just be looking at anything. But if it's like one of those, like, okay, like this person's like, yo, like, there's a certain energy, you just know that, like,
This
cool.
is an invite.
This is invite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, say she's not on the dance floor. Say you do want to dance with her. She's not on the dance floor. She's sitting at the table with her friends. Do you go to her or no?
With her friends now. I ain't really doing all that. Because first of all, the thing is with the club, like, there's a lot of loud music, and my whole perception of it is just like, yo, there's already a lot of, just like even from the example you gave, like there's already like a bunch of brews already just there. So unless again there's that like invitation somewhat, and I can go like, okay, you know what, she's actually like, she's eyeing me, or there's something like that. Now go like, I can just approach, you know, offer to buy a drink, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Kelly, how would you like to be approached at a club?
Never.
Honestly, same. Just don't. But I think the reality, let me give a realistic answer. I think it's close to what Six was saying, that sometimes if the girl wants or is interested in that particular person, then there's probably nothing that he can do wrong. But outside of that situation, which is 9 times out of 10, just leave us alone.
the girlies
just leave us alone. Because, like, honestly, that's even one of the reasons why I don't even like going out anymore. Because it's like, especially if you're just girls, somehow that's an invitation for guys to come to your table. Like, we're literally here, we're having our own conversation, and you want to come join us. No. No.
Okay, I hear you. I agree with you, Anissa.
He really should have read the room, in all honesty. Like, I feel like you can tell these girls are having a girls' night.
Yeah.
They were literally like in the middle of the dance floor, just the 3 of them. There was no eye contact or invitation. Six. She didn't look at those guys at all. She was like just dancing with her friends. And they were like behind now trying to like, you know, catch up.
See, and here's my thing. Why is it always from behind? Like, come try to dance with me from the front. Why are you trying to do a sneak attack where I don't know who you see me, but I can't see you? That for me already, my defenses are shot.
You see, as we're talking off the record about that whole dance hall conversation, because there's a big dance hall culture. I feel like people are into like grinding.
The girl is gonna brack off.
Yeah.
No.
How am I going to brack off on you when I don't know you? I mean, I haven't spoken, and you just creeped up on me from nowhere in the dark.
It's
and now I must just
scary.
continue.
It's so scary. And like, Shem, I felt, and she played it well, Shem. She really did. But I can tell it's a very scary situation to be in, right? Even the way she had to say no, right? She played into it a bit, and then she then said, okay, it's time for you to go now, right? But you could tell that she was uncomfortable, right? And they did come just as the girlies. It was just the 3 of them. So Anis and I had at least boys on our table. So when dudes did come, we psyched the boys. We said, go stand here, leave it, you know, at least put the presence of a man for them to leave us alone, right? So we managed to get away from that. But I'm just thinking, if it was just the 4 girls, we would have had more serious issues than we ended up having, right? But having men there protected us somehow, somewhat, in a way. And for them, it was just the three of them. It was very uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to watch. And thank God I saw it. But like, even you will have to, like, when I was looking at them, I was thinking, in case this girl actually needs real help, we're all going to have to jump into this, right? It was uncomfortable for me, and I was watching it. And when it happened to us, we were more calm about it because, like I said, we had dudes on our table, right? So yes, they would come chat us a bit, and then we, give the bad signal, the dudes will step in, and then they leave. But I guess my whole thing is, if you see a group of girls at the club, let us not assume that they are looking for men to hang out with. And shame, these girls dressed up, they were looking nice, they really were just, and they wanted to dance, they were on the dance, like they were dancing, like they really were wanting to have a good time. And the dudes they didn't get the message. And
the brewskis were like...
The brewskis said, us too, we want to have a good time. But then I'm also thinking, maybe, I feel like dudes don't do things if it hasn't worked before, right? So these men, and I only caught two, right? So out of all the men that were there, only the two of you had the balls to step up to her, which means to me, they had done this before, it's worked before,
Yeah, but
take a chance.
I think that comes back to what Six was saying. Like sometimes girls are looking for, a little man to cuddle up with in that time.
Yeah.
But she'll give you the signal. You should at least see there's an invitation of sorts happening here.
I'll tell a story. I remember I was once in a club, and it was just like a boys' night out type thing. Then on our table, I had like a shisha situation going on. And then like a hun just pulls up, and then she just like starts
smoking
the shisha. Like, cool, who be this, But then she just blew the smoke into my face. Right?
That's harassment.
You know what I'm saying?
That's assault.
That's assault, right? So I'm just giving like maybe on the other side, like the cold approach is like when hands actually make the first approach and stuff like that. But then ultimately it turned out to be actually good vibes. Like it turned out awesome.
Wait, so did you guys hang out after?
Yeah, we actually hung out after. I was like, because the whole thing was like, why are you always pulling my face?
Okay.
I was like,
okay, Miss Mayo.
Was she trying to be salty?
Yeah, she was trying to be. I was like,
It's tricky because sometimes, in that situation, I start to feel like, what am I doing here? Because what did I think was going to happen? You get, because you're there. So like what Kuda said before, it's not unusual behavior in a club. There's a lot of people who are there and actually are looking for people to dance with and whatever. So you even start to feel out of place because you're like, okay, I don't want you people to talk to me, and it becomes frustrating to say like, okay, should I even be here? Because this is what is done here. So.
That's a good point. What were you expecting when you were leaving? Because if you know that's the culture, and then you get frustrated with the culture, why were you there?
But as you said, from your observation, this girl and her friends, they seem to just come to have a good time. Like, we just want to dance.
But is that not a risk you're willing to take? So you're going out, you're going to be approached. Are you not accepting that risk? When
so what must girls do? What must girls do when they want to have fun?
You know what? I think it's okay if you're going to try. But then if it's a no, then go.
Let it be a no.
The worst is like I've had like literally situations where I've had to leave because like this guy will not just go away. Whereas every now and then, if I'm going to go to the bathroom, they're there. If I'm going to the bar, they're there. I've got a drink in my hand. Do you want to give me another one? And it just becomes overbearing. But then the situations where someone comes genuinely, oh, you guys look like a fun crowd, we like your vibe, haha. Maybe you'll have a drink, or maybe you'll be like, nah, we're not interested, and they go and continue with their nights. That's okay. But then it's that other type of guy who unfortunately is
They
always
think
there.
persistence is key.
Ooh,
And this is coming soon.
If at first you don't succeed,
Try again.
try again.
I think in the caveat, in my situation, if like the person who blew smoke into my face wasn't my type, yeah, that's me.
Also, she was your type.
Yeah, because the thing is, she was paying, so it was like,
Oh my God.
So you're like, hey, keep blowing.
yeah, because it was like, yeah, do your thing, it's cool. But if it's like, I know I'm not, like, I don't rate this, like, what am I doing? Like,
Then that's a That's a
like,
soul.
please.
That's a soul. Anyway.
That's the problem. You are the problem.
I mean, okay, but think about it, right? You know, if it was you and the guy who tried to dance with you was your type, are you going to say no? Probably not. It's only harassment when you don't like it. It's only assault when you don't like it.
This is true.
Okay, but like, if Idris Elba came to dance with me, listen. Listen, Idris Elba.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to give us some local example.
Idris Elba. Local example. So, yeah, I was, Ooh.
There are clearly no local examples.
You know, like my mind went through all of them. And I was like, none of you. I was trying to think of somebody like people knew, you know. I wouldn't. I'm sorry. No. Yeah. Anyway, I'm moving on. So that was my only little dilemma, because it really bugged me, because I was saying to myself, even the fact that she had to be nice in her rejection made me uncomfortable. I can't articulate why I was uncomfortable because she had to be nice, but I understand that. I think we've said this before, that it ends up being a dangerous situation. So you have to be as nice as you can, but being as firm as you can, right? But it just bothered me. But also, one bra got rejected. 5 minutes later, another bra said, well, she doesn't like him.
Yeah,
Maybe she like me.
Yeah, I thought he was the type that she might be like going.
And of all the men, guys, there were so many men. Like, of all of them, you two thought, if I don't chance this. But I guess, you know, you gotta have to take risks. Sometimes you have to try. She might have said yes to one of them. Maybe.
I know it's been long, but I have a strategy. Firstly, don't target the person you want to dance with. I think make it a group thing. 2, your moves have to be fire. So, and you can't miss. You have to come in with a fire move, time the right song, and then get into the crowd. You're opening a circle. That's all you do. And then in the circle, bust your best moves. And I mean a lot of them. Like, be exciting, right? And then now you're in with the whole crowd. And then maybe you can start a conversation later. I think that's the only way.
That's a good strategy.
That's a good strategy. To be honest, if it happened and this person was busting all the moves, I'd be like, okay.
Because you have to get
also
approval.
And we start dancing together.
It's less alarming.
Divided and conquered in that way.
Exactly.
Because just coming by yourself.
Yes, like let me be a bit familiar with your face.
Yeah, let me actually add to that. That's a great strategy, actually.
Yeah.
So what we used to do back in the day was like, we would be like, we always thought like approaching the club is just such a weird dynamic, you know what I'm saying? So what we do is like, we become the vibe. So like, we'd be like just having a guest, like just doing our thing. Then people just naturally would just start gravitating.
Right.
That sort of vibe. Then it becomes a group thing. So I think the group thing is actually safer.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Actually, take tips,
Get up
guys.
here.
Take tips.
Hey there, lovely listeners. So listen, running a podcast in Zimbabwe is quite the journey. It requires resources. And when I say resources, I mean money, time, and effort. Wondering how you can support us? Well, we've got you covered with Inbucks. Or World Remit if you're on the other side of the world and you'd love to contribute. Our Inbucks number is 077-810-3171. Whether it's the cost of a cup of coffee or a virtual high five, every little bit of your support counts. Remember, supporting our podcast isn't about funding our caffeine addiction. though it is in part, but your support keeps our podcast alive and thriving and helps us create more content, ensuring that our laughter echoes through your devices. Thanks again for being part of our community and for listening.
Today, I'm really happy because I get to trash social media. And it's really making me very excited. Okay, so what we're going to talk about really is the pitfalls of social media, right? But we'll add some good things, for balance. The good things of social media. But essentially, in 2024, obviously, social media is a big part of us, right, as a people. And so I'm going to tell you all the good things about social media. This podcast is only this podcast because of social media, right? You grow a community. There's lots of careers that have been built off TikTok, built off YouTube, built off even Instagram, right? There's been some good that has come from it. Because of social media, we get access to information, right? Obviously, when somebody's telling you lies, you get access. You can tell, or at least try to decipher, a good, real information, wrong information, fake news, not fake news, right? Particularly, with our mothers and WhatsApp groups. And there's always something on WhatsApp that's circulating that's always fake news, right? But because of social media, you're able to now go verify the source, right? Google yourself, find out if it's true before, you take action. Because somehow our mothers take everything as Bible, right? We know things about Gaza, for example, because of social media. We know things about police brutality because of social media, right? There's good that can come from social media. That is my only caveat. That's the only time I'm going to say that in this entire episode. However, social media has also been responsible for a lot of bad things, right? Because of social media, we have people like Dr. Matthew, right? We have scammers. You know who Dr. Matthew is? Okay, so Dr. Matthew is a guy who was on TikTok who was pretending to be a doctor. He never actually became a doctor. However, he was giving off prescriptions and he was, giving health things, right, on TikTok. Because you will automatically assume he's a doctor because he calls himself that and he was holding the little thing. What is it called?
Stethoscope.
That thing. Because he had that thing, you can't now verify whether or not he's a real doctor. I don't think anyone cared, to be fair, right? Then you have things like revenge porn, right? That happens also on social media because people are nonsense, right? You have Shadaya, who comes from social media, and he is a topic on his own, right? You have deepfakes, you have mental health issues, which is what we're actually going to go into now. So, since 2007, right, the rise of depression, anxiety, mental health issues has risen, I guess. So they say it's because of everybody now has a smartphone. Smartphones are also cheaper now than they were 2006 backwards, right? So anyone now can get an iPhone, can get an Android. Every phone is made, even the $20 phones are made to have some kind of access to, right? Whereas before, if you didn't have a cell phone, that's it. Or the cell phones just were not, we were texting and that was as far as you could get, right? So if you think about whatever phone you had when you started high school and the phone that you have them now. They kind of changed. Because I got my first phone when I was in grade 6. Right? It was a Nokia. The only thing I could do on it was play Snake. That was as far as it went. There was I had nothing else. I had no access.
Composing ringtones.
Yeah. Then I got my next phone when I was in Form 1. Yeah, Form 1. Yeah, Form 1. And that one it was a bit of a smarter phone, right? So that one I could do things. But then any other phone after that was definitely a smartphone. I had Facebook. Then I think it was the only thing there, right? But even Mixer came later. Mixer came Form 3 vibes. Mixer came. There was, what was that other one? MySpace. That was the one before. That was MySpace before that. Anyway, my whole point was, so now since 2007, now everybody has access to a smartphone. So now you have access to social media. And then people like Facebook came, people like YouTube, and then people. Now everybody can put themselves out there and meet people, right? But because of that, depression, anxiety, mental health issues have gone up. Right. Why? Is because, so this is what they say. This is in a journal, so it has to be true. It's
What journal is that?
It's called Grey Matters, the Undergraduate Neuroscience Journal.
Is it
Issue 15. Let me see if it's peer reviewed.
I'm sure it is.
Written by Kit Slocum and Nina Chen. Right. So they say that social media works on a reward system, right? You post a picture, you get likes, you get comments, people save whatever you posted, right? Because of that works on your dopamine. So that's the hormone that's activated when we use social media. What does dopamine do? Dopamine is responsible for the brain's reward centers and works very closely with neurochemical called opioids. The joy felt when eating a delicious frosted donut, having relations, or having successful social interactions is all the work of opioids.
Oh.
Right. So essentially, when you post a picture on social media, when you are on social media, the feelings that you get after having relations is really the same feelings that you're having after you get a like on your Instagram picture. Right. So now, because of that, your reward, it sort of works like if you post a good picture, you get a lot of likes. If you post a bad picture, you don't get any likes, right? How they've now factored in that with the algorithms is that you will get likes on some and then you won't get likes on the other one. That way you'll try harder next time, right? So scientifically, these social media pages are using neuroscience to keep you there. Right. And then the more you get to see what other people are doing, you know how there's so many chats on or tutorials on how to get your pictures to be liked more, you know, all of those things is so that you work with the algorithm. But why you're doing it is the driver is your hormones, right, that are driving you to want to get more people to look at you and to comment and to see what you're doing. You know, it's no longer whether you see this, even if you see like the kind of content that's being posted is very different than when, for example, we started off on Instagram, where you would post anything, lighting, you never had to look at, you just post whatever is happening, funny faces, silly things. Now, if you're not smiling, it's not a good picture. If it's not a good angle, if you're not sucking in, if the lighting's bad, it's no longer.
You don't have makeup.
You see, all of those things, like, because why? They have put it into us that there is a reward system that goes with it. So even if you wear your best outfit, put on makeup, have the correct lighting, the algorithm will work by looking at your last post says 100 likes. This next one, no matter how good it is, 15. It's not even your fault. But they're doing that intentionally so that you keep trying and posting. Otherwise, then they don't get as many. Well, I don't know how they work, but like people, they don't get as many people. They don't get as much money. Right.
So on that point, I would suggest if you really want to go like and there's a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma, and it's people who've worked in the Silicon Valley industry, and it's one of the workers. He noticed, so when they were still starting Facebook, and they were like assessing it and everything, he did notice that this is now, it's more of like an addiction. It's an addictive platform, or all these platforms now. So he had like this whole ethical thing about it. He was like, no, let's try and not push the algorithm as much as Facebook people wanted to push it. And he got fired for that. They were like, nah, we want to make money. So in essence, they try to make sure that all the social media houses are competing for your attention. So they want you to stay on the app as long as they possibly can, so that they can now push their advertising onto you. So that's why you see like stuff, if you're discussing something on WhatsApp, an ad might come on Facebook. Or an ad might come on TikTok. Or if you search on your Google, an ad might come on all of your social platforms, because that's how they make money. They get paid by all these companies to push their adverts. So and like recently, there's been streaks on TikTok, which I feel is so bad. It's actually so clever of them to do that, because there's no way you want to continue to have that interaction with someone, so that your streak continues. So that means you need to be on TikTok every single day, posting and interacting with people in your chats to maintain the streak. And the assumption is once you get to a certain amount of streaks, you get paid for it. And I've noticed people saying, hey guys, please don't listen to TikTok. You're not getting paid for any of this. You're not getting paid for any of the interactions you're making. But yeah, social media is actually, it's wild when you really think about the effect it has on your brain. The effect it has on your brain, and even like lifestyle, Jade.
So that was the next thing, being that the more you see people, seemingly people your age or younger, doing things or living a lifestyle that's completely different from yours. Maybe not completely different, but a lifestyle that you want, right? So again, remember dopamine. Remember that. You see it, your depression sinks, right? So you're no longer that dopamine high that you'd get if you got a like dip. So now you're depressed because you saw somebody take a picture in Ibiza and you thought, this person's 18, I'm 35. How are they at Ibiza and I'm 9? Right? You see people jet setting, you see people catching flights, not feelings. You see people, eating out in places that you want to eat, I guess, and you can't afford. And now you're looking at your lifestyle, and you're looking at their lifestyle, and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? So then what it does with your dopamine, it dips. So now you spiral more into, and now what are you going to do? You're going to start hustling up, right? Let me get my paper up. You're going to keep working extra hard, doing all these extra hustles just to be able to live a life that you think the other person on the other side is living, right? However, because people lie on social media, on Instagram, they're probably not living the life that you're thinking that they're living. Because again, they only show you what they want you to see, right? Now here you are depressed because you saw me out. You don't know how I got there. You don't know if I was even there in the first place, right? I could have shown you a receipt that I also got from Google. And now you're thinking, this girl is blowing back. No, I'm not. I saw it on Google. It was a picture on TikTok that I stole from somebody else and made it into my own. So So that also, mental health, that also is then the opposite. And how they keep you there so that you now keep stalking people. Now you want to keep seeing. Because how it also works is that it'll keep now showing you the same
That
people,
content.
that content. And we're now more depressed, more depression, deeper, you're sinking. Then there's social media for government. Right. So think about, remember the time where allegedly we were shut out from social media and we had to use the VPNs?
Yeah.
Right. Governments have now tried to restrict information or people coming together because either you're going to cause a riot, right? So I was reading this case from, I don't know if you remember him, but his name was Baba Jukwa. Do you remember him?
I remember.
So this guy, unknown man, was using his Facebook. It started off as Facebook and then I think it shifted to Twitter. Nobody knew the source behind Baba Jukwa, right? But essentially what he was doing was outing people in government. Right. So he would say this happened, this person is involved, that person is involved, this is how they're involved. Like he really gave us a breakdown. So a lot of people thought this is somebody in government who was trying to take out the government from the inside because the information that he had was quite detailed. Right. But what that also did was that he was using his page to also attack other officials in government. So he would tell you about a plot that's about to happen. And now people go after those people thinking that this is going to happen. Whether or not it was going to happen, obviously nobody knows. But nobody also knows who was behind that account. Several people were arrested because of that page, right? And one of them was a guy who worked at one of the newspapers in this country. So people thought he was the leak. The way that the information was given, though, it was shady. So he never got indicted, convicted, or anything. But they just thought he was the leak. After Baba Jukwa, however, Zimbabwe implemented various acts to keep more Baba Jukwas away. So we have lots of propaganda acts that allow the government, police, to seize your phone, for example, and check information without needing a warrant if they think you're a credible threat, which anybody can be a credible threat, right?
What was the act?
What was the act? Well, let me tell you, there's been a few. So we have the Telecommunications Act that got amended. We have the Official Secrets Act, which was passed this one was old, this one was passed in 2001, and then it got re-amended in 2020, right? It stipulates that documents that relate to the state security, national defense, or internal public order shall not be released in the public sphere. We have the Access to Information and Protection Act, IPA, which was promulgated, and among other objectives, provides for the right of access to information held by public bodies, protection of access to certain information, and regulation of mass media. Right. Then we have, what's the other one? Communications Act. Then we have the Cybercrime Security and Data Protection one. Then there's the Protecting National Security Act. I think that's what it's called. Right. But essentially what that is saying is anyone who is a credible threat to the national government can have their things taken away. You can be arrested and held until you're no longer a threat. They can stop your social media uses. You can be blocked from Twitter. You can be blocked from Facebook, from Instagram, whatever, for sharing sharing false information. But is it false information? You then have to prove whether or not it's false information, because they're going to say, obviously, this is false information. And then obviously then you have to prove that it's not. How do you prove that it's not false information? I don't know. because then you have to prove that it's true. And for you to prove that it's true, discovery, and are they going to give you the information? No, obviously not. Right. So this is also how, so now the government has come into controlling your social media use. Yes? Okay, that makes sense. So here's my first question. First question being, should social media be regulated by countries in the first place? And how far should they be allowed to go, if at all?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Because then now you're speaking to the jurisdiction. Because if we look at what social media is, these are just companies that are selling or providing a product to anybody who can use. So even if the government were to say, okay, if we catch you doing XYZ, we can suspend your Facebook. My Facebook is a contract between me and Facebook.
Yeah.
So now, I guess on a policy level, they have to have some kind of implementation measures with Facebook, which is also a difficult thing. And it's your classic debate about your freedom of expression versus whether or not you're going to harm people. I think it's a space that's very difficult to regulate. But, it's a difficult one to regulate. It's understandable that the government would want to have some kind of control. But, how?
Oh, they do. They switch it off completely, right? And there's no network. What do you do?
You know how Asian countries can't access specific service providers? I get it in the sense where you're saying that it would be if it's a danger to people, if you're inciting violence or inciting panic. I understand why the government would want to intervene. But hey, guys, those Asian countries, a lot of stuff happens and it's not documented. A lot of stuff happens and human rights violations take place. So it's difficult. I understand wanting to be a parent state, wanting your citizens to be, protected in a certain way. But I guess it then depends, then you then ask yourself, what are you trying to hide? You don't want the world to know what and what. Yeah, so it's tricky.
But national security trumps everything, right?
What's your definition though? Because anything can be national security.
But that's what they use. They use that as we're protecting intel, we're protecting spies, we're protecting whatever, government institutions. And because it's so broad, all the acts that I read they were written very broadly. The powers that they have are also quite broad, just because they're saying we can't anticipate everything. So we need to just have an overarching regulation. But now, obviously, because it's so overarching, it's subject to abuse. Because anything, like you're saying, can be national security. Right. Now, lastly, this is the last part, being that if I get depressed because of the content that I'm seeing on social media, right? A lot of the issues that people had with Congress when they were doing their search is that the kids, the babies, were committing suicides because of what they saw on social media.
Where's this?
In the US, right? So Congress held I guess they invited all the social media reps. So Instagram, TikTok, who's the other one? X, and Facebook, but also small, they have smaller social media things, right? But essentially the big people were Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. And the parents' complaints were that the social medias are not doing great in protecting their children from content, right? They obviously defended their side. There's only so much we can do, right? And if you remember when you were on Facebook, when you first started on Facebook, you were probably not old enough to be on Facebook. So you lied, right? They asked you how old you were. You put I'm 76. And they were like, okay, cool, right?
They don't check.
But how are they going to check? How do you say, everybody send me your birth certificate? You know, like, they can only do as much as they can do, right? Which is what they were arguing, but the parents said, no, you guys can do more. Tell us what more you think we should do. Nobody has an answer, right? So whose fault really is it if I get depressed because I saw somebody going to Ibiza and I'm not? Is it me or is it Instagram?
I think there's now, to answer your question, I think it goes back to your personal, regulation, like your emotional, how you regulate yourself. Because now there's a lot of stimuli around, right? So your phone, everything that's on your phone, the internet, like the world has become so small. So you're overstimulated. Whereas like somebody who is not exposed to as many things as we are, they have less things to worry about. But because we're exposed, we actually, the onus is on you and I to be able to regulate ourselves, right? To say like, here my envy is on peak or whatever because of this, that, and the other. So you need to be able to know yourself and say, look, I need to take a step back a little bit or whatever. I don't know how people have different ways of regulating themselves, but I think it's important, particularly where social media is concerned, that you need to self-regulate. If it means like going off of LinkedIn for a bit because you feel like you feel the pressure on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is quite hectic.
Guys, I must say, finding a job on LinkedIn, for me, that's a unicorn. It's just pressure on that app. I haven't been approached by any
but you see so many people say, oh, I moved to Dubai. I was like headhunted on LinkedIn.
When? Tell us. We also want to come to Dubai. Because
No, I do, and I get that, but here's the thing. I agree with you. I'm on your side. But
so why are you fighting me?
Because I'm about to say, here's something we have to think about, is that these people are using neuroscience to keep me here, right? So I can't self-regulate because I am an addict, right? It's the same way if I'm a drug addict, I am not liable for my own actions, okay? I can't. I don't have control anymore. These people have now gotten into my brain. So what do? I don't have self-control. I can't have self-control. They made it so that I don't have it. How do I self-regulate something I can't control?
Yeah, I also wanted to say, I think the nature of the beast that we're dealing with is beyond self-regulation. And especially if you're looking at the younger generations, because they are so much more susceptible and vulnerable to these things. Because even if you look at your adultish brain that grew up in a time where there wasn't social media, so we might be a bit tougher against it, but then that addiction is there. That addiction to scrolling is there. TikTok, that algorithm is hectic. It's quite hectic, and anybody can fall into it. And I think what makes it worse is how intertwined it has become in our daily lives. Right now, as a professional, as a person living in this world, you can't afford to delete your WhatsApp. Because there's so much that happens there. That's like, it's become an official, I don't know if it's a Zoom thing or this is happening everywhere, but there's things where I feel like you should have sent me an email. I'm only going to find out about it on WhatsApp. Like exams, why am I finding out about exams in any platform or through a WhatsApp group or something like that? But that's the reality of the world we're living in. I remember in university, I wanted to leave Facebook, but I couldn't because there was the Facebook class group where there's actually quite important things that are happening there. So this thing is in our lives. There's no self-regulation that's going to take you out of it. Yeah.
Back to the Congress one, where the parents were saying, it's you, the social media people, who should do something more. I feel like as a parent, you should also be doing something more for your kids. Because we all know, now if you're listening to this episode, you now know this is not good for you.
It's a beast.
There's dopamine, there's lots of things going on in the background. And for you as a parent to then let your kids be exposed to that, of course, there's only so much you can do as a parent. There's only so much regulation you can do as a parent. But that's why you've got parental controls and you've got those spyware things. So you as a parent, you can't be coming to Mark Zuckerberg and telling him how, Mark, my child is on Facebook and it's addictive. But you could have done something in that time to regulate.
Do you know these Cocomelon babies?
That's what I'm saying though. As a parent, you need to be ahead of that because this is something detrimental. It's the same as exposing your kid to drugs because they are drugs. So I feel like we need to sort of like, as a parent, try and also do those things. Put parental controls. I know, Koda, you can monitor like YouTube and stuff like that for your cousins. Like, don't be that parent who's behind.
I get alerts.
Don't
you're
be that
something you shouldn't be on my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi that I pay for. You want to be on YouTube because you're restricted to YouTube Kids. That's all you get, right?
These kids are smart though.
No, but what I'm saying is that's why I put the preface to say, of course they are kids and they're smart and they will find ways.
And they'll find ways.
But make it difficult for them. Don't just say, oh, yes, your Facebook.
Don't give them tablet at age 5.
Exactly.
But you're going to a world-class school where at age 5, a tablet is a requirement for school.
Yes, but you can regulate your child's screen time.
But there's always that one child in the class.
That's why
no regulation. That's where I saw all the naughty things. That's cool.
That's so true.
If it's not at home, I'm gonna find it somewhere
That's
in
what
class.
I'm saying. Like, I don't think you're getting my point.
So why were you? No, I hear it. I get you.
I don't think you're getting my point.
No, what I'm saying is right. The nature of the beast that we're dealing with is beyond that. Because you can do all the things right by the textbook, but then the exposure is there. So I think maybe more along the lines of Chido's regulation things where you really have to reinforce certain things in the real world to build a character that's strong enough to go beyond that. But to say restricting, and I guess it also applies on the governmental level, to say that the idea of restricting and whatnot, we're going to have VPNs, we're going to do all sorts of things. So a restriction, I think it's something.
But also the more something is restricted, I don't know, but in my household,
the more you restrict, the more you...
the more I wanted to know, what is it that... And we had that, you know, on the TV, when you back in the day, you can put the password, right, on the TV. So if you're not like...
Yeah.
If you're... I think first it was not... If you're not 13, and then if you're not 16, and then... But also, here, to Anessa's point also... You have to at least put the lock. And at the very least, put the lock. And then if I bypass the lock, because also what then happens, right, in a house. So when I was growing up, our age groups were very varied. Right, so my sisters are 9 years older than me. My brother's 5 years older than me. Then there's me. My sister's 4 years younger than me. So she's 13. Well, she's 11. I'm 4 years older. So I can now watch PG-13. She still can't. But if I'm in the lounge, she's what am I supposed to do? Say go away? I can't do that. And when they were obviously past 16 and 18, my older siblings. So if they get unlocked to watch 16,
then
right?
It means you are...
I'm there too! Because what do you mean, right?
Your sister's there.
Or I'm just like, hey, there's a show, you have the password, or do you have the password? That was also a question, right? They tried to keep the password away from us, but it's one password, right? So if now you tell me the password, I'm going to tell my little sister the password, bro. Don't bother me, it's 1994. You know, go watch. So what do you do? And even with my nieces and nephews now, again, I have one who's 1, I have one who's 13, right? I can monitor as much as I can, and then I have a 10-year-old, I have a 7-year-old, I have a 2-year-old, right? Even then, on the Wi-Fi, I do, if they go into the Wi-Fi and they know how to do it, if they go into it, I will get an alert that Ningi's watching whatever, right? I can monitor that on my phone. But if they're watching it on my older ones, I probably won't see it because her restrictions are a bit less than the babies. So they can just easily use her iPad. And they all have them. My 5-year-old has an iPad. My 10-year-old has an iPad. My 13-year-old has an iPad. They need the iPads because, like you're saying, even school now, homework is funneled through WhatsApp.
Can't they use Leapfrog? Those stupid tablets that just have games.
But they need, when I say, like, they don't even get, like, how we used to get homework and the teacher would say, this is your homework for today. The teacher sends the homework on WhatsApp. So you need to have, it was not even enough for them to have cell phones. They needed the actual iPad so that you can see on the screen what is it that we're doing. And you're making it more difficult even for us parents because now I have to get you an iPad. And I'm thinking, even think about it financially if you're in a school. All right, I've already hustled so hard to get you into this damn school in the first place. Now I have to buy an iPad too, and an iPad and Wi-Fi because it has to be unlimited. That or data, but even that, like the amount of money I'm spending. Now I must also regulate what you're doing on the iPad when I'm not there. Now I must also and think about it like in our case
have screen time,
and that
So I think back to Anesu's point to say you need, as a parent, you need to do everything that you can. So if it means you are restricting certain whatever sites or whatever from like your internet access, your child does not have access to stupid things. And then also you say screen time is from 4 to 6. And during that time, you're doing your homework. After that, I'm taking back the iPad. You lock it somewhere. I don't know. Like, it needs to be...
But I also think that in Zimbabwe, for example, we can. Right? I do think, like, Zim parents, they have a lot of control. If you're in a first world country where you are working overtime, right? You're working on shifts. Chances are your kid is at home by themselves a lot, right? Childcare is also really expensive. So you're betting that my kid can take care of themselves from the age of 9, right? Whilst I'm at work. My parents would come back from work at 5, 6, and they're there until the next morning. So they have the time to regulate me. But in a first world country where you have 3 to 4 jobs, you're working all day, they need Mark to do something because they also don't even have the time themselves to do it, right? They barely have time to raise the child to have a good character. Now I'm trying to feed you, now I must also care about what you're doing on TikTok. Like, I don't have time, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm trying not to get fired. And now I must still raise you, give you good values, good principles, which in itself is a difficult thing to do because your friends, everybody who surrounds you, you spend more time with people outside than with the people in your own home, right? So the influences are massive. Anything can happen at this point.
I just want to chime in on a different sort of angle on this topic, and it's there's a big prevalence in misinformation, and misinformation is actually profitable now. So it's like if you have a channel, if you have like a Twitter page, X page, and you're promoting, especially like there's a lot of rage bait. So for example, recently there was this thing about a boxer, and they were claiming that she's trans in the Olympics. This, I think, Algerian boxer. Then it turns out it was false. But then
she's not trans.
She's not trans.
What's the whole story?
She's actually
she's just a female.
It's just a female.
But I think it's giving caste cement.
She's got a condition where she has more, testosterone.
Into 6.
Yeah, pretty much. So, you see, so now so many pages were generating content off of that. And that's where you get also the red pill gang, the red pill people, these Shaddais we talked about. It's engagement farming. And even these lifestyles, we're talking about the Instagram people.
The baddies.
The baddies, etc. It's like, because clout is so profitable. Because clout is so profitable. Companies actually...
Wait, you people like you guys Nara haters.
I think I am.
But it's also this thing where I feel like there's also like this hectic mind control and like pushing of certain narratives at a certain point. And you can even see it in your algorithms where it's like all of a sudden it's just like babies all the time and housewives and this and that, and you're like, oh,
so much.
No, you're right. But also I think because we like Mamkua, right? Like, so when you see somebody who's been caught with whose husband, who got beat up, and people like those stories, so it now perpetrates the more drama that comes from it, because we just like things. We like to know. I guess because it's an escape, right? So you want, if somebody else's life is more terrible than you, that's a great time.
Cyberbullying, like there's the lady who's competing for Miss SA, the next
shame, that girl.
So there's a lady who was actually supporting her, and I think Lerato someone, and I was seeing a video this morning where she was actually going like she's leaving social media because people are bullying her because she was
Lerato.
Yeah.
She left X. I saw
she left X. Yes.
Okay, I also left X.
X is a lot. X needs to do. Actually, X. Hello, if anybody's listening, y'all need to stop this letting people be naked on X thing. It's really. It's not okay anymore. It's not okay anymore. That's what X is now, and like I'm not down for it. What happened to?
On the most random posts. And then, comment section is where it's at. So now you're scrolling comments, next thing you know, it's naked people, and you're like, what's happening here?
But I guess in all of this, you then have to think who's making money off it. Because as a sex worker, I definitely want my stuff on X so that I can move my people to OnlyFans so that I can get paid. So whatever you like, follow me, bruh. Or even like what Six is talking about, misinformation and all of that. Just think to yourself, this person, they've gotten 1 million comments and you're one of them, and you've just made them money, bruh. You're making people money but just engaging in nonsensical stuff. That's kind of sad, bro.
It's not even just X though. I feel like even on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I used to follow this food page. I think from like when I started Instagram, there's a food page I followed. Recently, it was like 2 months ago, I'm seeing
the girlies.
Like 3 weeks ago, there was food. But now we've changed, and it's now girlies with like their legs wide open, and they're like, and it's like
on Instagram.
We actually follow the same page. Food satisfied.
Yes. I quickly unfollowed.
You go to the comments, people are like, this is not food. They're upset. Where's the content?
I was so upset because I remember they used to post such like good food, and now it's like
but see what sells more, food or the other thing?
It's food for others.
For us, can't.
That's fine. Anyway, so I've told you good and bad things about social media.
So what do we really say? What's the takeaway?
The takeaway is self-regulation is important, right? Get to a point where even you say this is too much. But because we were saying sometimes it's out of your control and you're an addict, right? Then get help. Go to go to rehab, go get some help. But like I do think these people are trying to make money. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to stop and say, but we care about Anesu's mental health. No, they don't. They're not going to. So you have to do it yourself. You have to do it for your kids. You have to do it for your friends. Sometimes you have to just say, I'm switching off my phone from whatever to whatever time, or put, they have good, they're not shame, but you know what, to be fair, they also have tried, they put, like, you have a timer, you can put your own Instagram lets you put a timer on the Instagram, TikTok lets you put a timer, if you say it's been an hour, but you know what, can I tell you the one about the TikTok one, the password is 1234. And then it'll say, okay, you've been on TikTok for an hour, you said you didn't want to bypass an hour, go either put 1, 2, 3, 4, or no, they'll say the password is 1, 2, 3, 4. So do 1, 2, 3, 4 and keep going.
And then open it.
And then it's still open. And I'm like, this speeds
I do it even without thinking anymore. It's not just like 1, 2, 3, 4. Rolling.
So you're saying the apps have they've restricted the time you can use it.
Well, you can restrict your own time on those apps.
You can set it, but then it's just a notification to say, hey, you've been here for an hour.
But you can also set it on your phone, though.
Yes,
your phone is more effective.
Yeah, but you see, you're making it look like
I have those things.
But you're an addict.
5 more minutes. And sometimes I ignore the whole day. I'm so used to bypassing the whole thing, so it doesn't work.
So you have to self-regulate. You have to do better.
It's bad. Like, I mean, even as we're speaking right now, I'm playing a game. And it's not because of anything. It's just such habits that my brain is now used to having so many things going on. Even when I work, I can't just like sit down and say I work. There has to be something. Either I'm on YouTube or there's music playing, there's something. So now I've even gotten used to a situation where I need a certain amount of stimulation to concentrate on one thing.
I hear. I'm actually just bad. I'm a split screen girl, so like on my laptop, I will be working, watching a series, and playing solitaire. Then I will concentrate. Other than that, I'm bored as hell. And then my brain is like, what are we doing? But if I have a lot of stimuli, then I can actually function. So I will have my earphones on, listening to series, playing solitaire, typing agreements. That's how it works. And I feel, other than that, even when I'm sleeping, I sleep with the TV on. So I'm listening to, I'll put something like, I like to watch Judge Judy. I'll watch Judge Judy in the background. I want to hear her voice and fall asleep. Other than that, I'm not there.
For me, okay, not sleeping, but then just like, say if I'm cooking or doing anything, TikTok, or just scroll. And it's not that I'm even like you're saying, it's just I like hearing something happening in the background. And I think the scam, which is something that came up in the documentary you mentioned, Ernesto, is this whole thing of filter bubbles, where the internet or social media makes you feel like you have access to all this information and you're learning all this stuff. But really the algorithm is set up in such a way that you're getting, like, you know how if you like certain things, then your For You page, your everything is just going to show you the same stuff. So you're not actually expanding yourself. You're actually just being taught how to think in a certain way, and you're limited to those certain things. So we're in trouble.
And it's only going to get worse from here. It's bad now. Think about it in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now. Even us, who will eventually have children, won't even know all the things that we need to know to protect our own kids. I don't think so. Kids are just smart. Somehow they come out of the womb on TikTok.
They walk out.
They know how to do, because I promise you there's some things that, like, like I would give my nieces and nephews my phone thinking like it's locked, it's fine, they don't know. To hear it.
Even showing you things you didn't know about your phone.
Exactly. Next thing they're in it, they've downloaded things, and thankfully mine really like games. So you get your phone back and you have 20 more games. And why you can't download one game and play that one game, even then, they need to have options. So it gets worse. And if you don't know, and I guarantee my mom knows nothing about what her grandkids are doing. Now, what more when I'm a grandparent? How much more I'm not going to know.
You're clueless. And I think being in the post-COVID era has made this so much more worse. But yeah, that's a story for another day.
Don't rush. What was the song? The one that was the makeup challenge. The makeup challenge. Was it slow touch? Don't rush. Slow touch. Stop thing. Anyway. Okay, bye.